Morning farm to school friends. Just a quick rundown of how this is going to go. We told you about 6 slides, about 10 minutes per team. We'd love it if you could even kind of get it done in about 8 minutes, and then leave about 2 minutes that we can have for some questions if folks from the audience want to just comment or say, hey, that was awesome. Where did you do that, or where'd you get those ideas? So that's how it'll run. Jen is going to run the slides for you, so you can just give her nods when she's doing it. She's also going to be keeping time, and she will let you know very gently when your 8 minutes is up. We are going to have Lothrop go first, then Shelburne Community School, then Two Rivers, Bristol, Orchard, Missisquoi, Putney, Richmond, Lake Region, and Newton. And don't worry if you didn't write that down, I'll remind you who will go next. And just a quick overview of the day, we're going to basically be sharing, celebrating our ideas and everything that we've done, all our accomplishments this morning up until lunch. Then we'll have a farm fresh lunch for us today, and then the afternoon will be time to work together back as our teams, working on our action plans for this next upcoming school year. So it's a pretty straightforward day, and we're glad you're all here with us, and hopefully the sun will come out a little bit this afternoon. And that's it. We're really excited, and I think getting ready to get started.
Good morning. So I'm Laura McLaughlin from Lothrop Elementary School, and this is our team of, so I was actually the farm to school coordinator during this past year.
I'm Stephanie Sherman. I'm the librarian at Lothrop.
I'm Jen Miller. I work at Raffle, and I was the farm to school mentor for half the year.
And I'm Marielle Blay, and I actually don't work at Lothrop anymore. I was transferred to Otter Valley, where I am trying to get the farm to school movement going there.
And I'm Kevin Duggan, and I'm a grade 1 teacher this year.
And so just to pull Marielle, and Marielle is actually the impetus. She's the reason why.
You're going to have to do this.
Okay, I'll try.
For everyone who needs to hear in the back.
Thank you, Abby. So anyways, Marielle is the impetus. She started all of it. She wrote the grant that hired me, and so we're all here because of Marielle. And anyway, so this past year was amazing, and there are really there's some big reasons for that. One of them is this Farm to School Summer Institute that we participated in, and previous to that, the 3 of us, oh golly, what am I doing wrong? So there isn't enough stress on me.
Just talk right into it.
Just talk, okay. No, that's fine. So we did the Farm to School Professional Development, and then we came and participated in the Summer Institute. So we had all of this great excitement and enthusiasm and commitment, and we also got a Dairy in the Classroom grant, and plus we also had this grant that Marielle wrote. So we had all of this wonderful commitment and excitement happening. And so this past year we were able to do field trips, and we're working on our composting, and we built a greenhouse, and we had a whole culinary workshop with cookbooks, and there's Harvest of the Month and field trips, and we kept track of, we connected with things into the curriculum, with math tallying in first grade, with healthy snacks. And so we were able to, we connected with our cafeteria, who supports all of our projects. We grow for them, and then they give it back to us because we need things in the winter because our garden doesn't have food in it. And so we have had this wonderful year, but now we're faced with some challenges for the next year because my position ends on June 30th, and are you giving me a time check? No. So my position ends on June 30th, and as I said, Marielle has left. She's at the high school, and another teacher, she moved away. So we've actually lost some of our quote-unquote champions that are in the school, and who I had time to dedicate to the curriculum connections, and so we really were working on how do we get the administration to actually understand all the amazing benefits that come from farm to school? Because it is language arts, it is math, it is health, it is physical activity, it's science, all wrapped up in this wonderful package that deserves time, that we should be able to have time to meet and plan and go forward with all these great things that the children love and get our communities excited about it. And that's where we are. How's that? And this is some of our other things. I didn't talk about literacy night. So literacy night was, we farm to schoolized everything. And so we turned these 3 books into plays. We did this year. It was incredible. And they made all these farm plays. So the art teacher designed them, and our Eagle teacher who does enrichment, they rewrote these books into plays, which were really well received by kids and parents. And of course, we had healthy snacks, and because now we have healthy everything. And that's that. Do we have another? Yes, and so this is the end of the year. That's the card they gave me with their cow shirts on from Dairy in the Classroom. And that was one of their wonderful activities with Virginia. And here they are weeding out last year's volunteer sunflowers, and now they're planting their new garden. This is for next year. They did this wonderful activity where they looked at harvest times for seeds, for vegetables and fruits, and they planted things that would be ready for them when they came back next year. So and there's the greenhouse in the background. That got built this spring, and we're trying to find a farmer who would like to grow food in it in exchange for doing some educational stuff in the classroom. That's what our next, and I think that's our last one, isn't it? Oh, and this was our technology teacher who did some work with 5th and 6th graders on a whole unit on Inca farming, and they did foods with Inca and Maya and potatoes and things like that also. Are there any questions?
You've got 4 minutes for questions or comments.
I wanted to say that, we had a lot of momentum going, and I'm not ready to speak, but we had a lot of momentum going over the last couple of years. Thanks to Laura, who is, just a dynamo to have in school. Marielle was working alongside her. We had a lot of great momentum going, and unfortunately, because of some transitions, changes in administration, changes in funding, school budgets that are really getting tighter and tighter and tighter, teachers being moved around a lot, we've lost a lot of our momentum. And, it's sad to see. The kids really love this. This is hands-on opportunities. This is what really connects their learning, is being able to do things like this to integrate all the different things in math. You saw that they were counting seeds using 10 frames, so we're able to build in a lot of these different things, writing pieces, stories for them, lots of stories. I was able to get a Dairy in the Classroom grant, which just happened to sort of fit in. It was just kind of one of those things that fell into our lap, and it just worked perfectly, and the kids loved it, We did an Adopt a Calf unit where we adopted a farmer's calf, and we grew the feed last year before school and brought it to the mama cow. And our last trip was just a week ago or so, and we went and saw the babies. So the kids got to see this whole chain, this whole cycle. There's a lot of great things, but we've lost the momentum, and it's administration that needs to get behind it. If you don't have that, you're not gonna sustain it when people are being moved in and moved out, and people aren't seeing the value of it. That's where our struggle.
Today is an opportunity for us to take this time
to try to revitalize it.
So let's open it up to any comment or questions that clarify or any comment or question. Yeah.
What grant funded your position?
So my position was funded by the Henry T. Poust Trust Fund, which is a Rutland County grant. So if you're in Rutland County, it's a 3-year grant. It's a phenomenal opportunity, but it is Rutland County.
Other questions or comments? Yeah.
Could you just remind me how many classrooms or how many kids you have at your school?
We have about 200 students in the K to 6. In our K to 6 school.
And what percentage do you think were on board with the Harvest of the Month or taste testing or cooking in the classroom, whatever kind of integration you were seeing there?
More consistently, I would say that was our K to 2 team. Mm-hmm. So that's probably 70, 80, actually I think it's like 83 students. Okay. That was K to 2. We have Abbey Group as our food service provider, and so they tie into Harvest of the Month. So there's an opportunity for them to see whatever that fruit or vegetable is during their lunch period also.
Okay.
So we've got two.
Just a comment, I thought the literacy night stuff was really cool. I love the books that you chose, and that looks super great. Good for you.
Oh,
they,
thank
they
you.
loved it. They had a great time, and the parents loved it, and yeah, it was really cute.
And our French teacher turned it into French literacy night, which is even more fun. Saute, I have to
You
say
have one
that.
more question.
What's that?
Who took care of calf on the weekend?
No, it was at a farm, a local farm that we were able to just walk to, which was perfect. And it wasn't, we didn't tell them they weren't dairy cows at first. We sort of just let it, they're cows, but they weren't really dairy cows, but we figured they'd still benefit from seeing the cycle.
Yeah, they were beef cattle. I just want to say this about saute. Kevin and I were cooking. We were sauteing butternut squash in the classroom. And so we were sauteing, and the kids are like, saute, saute, that's a song Madame taught us. And so then we had to relearn the saute song. And it was hysterical that they were making all these connections and reinforcing through food, which we all know.
And they like to jump, so
Yeah.
that was perfect.
Exactly. I never knew what saute meant. Now I won't forget.
So let's give you guys a big round of applause. You can just go to the next slide. Hi, my name's Amanda Gustafson, and
Pam Sear.
and we're from the Shelburne Community School. We came last year to this institute, and I think in the parking lot, I was nominated to be the garden coordinator. And not told until later. So we started the fall with a pretty full garden. Our after-school program took care of our gardens over the summer last year. And you can see in that picture on the far left, we kind of had a kale garden. We had some seating issues with the classrooms in the spring, and so we just decided to make lemonade in the form of, you can see the kale pesto, giant pan there. The kitchen staff did a great job processing all that kale into kale pesto. We had a community harvest dinner where we fed over 100 people, and it was all staffed by the after-school kids. They also took carrots out of the garden and peppers, and that was a great event. Through the winter, you can go to the next slide. Oh, actually, go back to that slide. So one thing I want you to take note of is I'm a teacher, Pam's a teacher, and one of the things that I thought of as I looked at the garden last fall was I would be stressed out bringing a class in there because there was a lot going on, hard to know where beds started and finished. The organization was, yes. So one of the things that we really focused on was how can we make this inviting for teachers? Because we knew that if teachers were not sure how it would work with their kids in there, they might not take the time that's required to make units and lessons that are in the garden. So you can go to the next one now. We worked with the cafeteria staff as well. This is Becky, our fearless cafeteria leader. And we did, she made a lot of different pickles, and there were some pickle taste tests last year. Next slide. So when the spring came, we had seating happening with after school. A first grade classroom installed a grow light in their closet and started our tomatoes. And we totally redesigned and rebuilt the garden beds. You can see the design a little bit in that picture on the left. We have this sustainable roofing material. It's made of recycled material. We used cedar on any part that was touching soil, and then just cheap pine on any part that was up in the air to kind of keep the costs down. And the beds came out to be like $120 each or something like that, which was good cost, I think. You can go to the next one. So you can see this is a before and after of what we did this year. The The beds on the left are organized so that they're easily counted. So we can say to a teacher, okay, you're bed 4 or you're bed 6, and putting numbers on these beds is kind of the next piece. This isn't a completed picture. Right now, there's 2 of those tall beds, and those tall beds are so that if we have any disabled students or students in wheelchairs, they can be wheeled right up to the gardens and still participate in any kind of gardening program that a classroom does. So that was an important thing for me. So Pam, do you want to talk about your classroom connection?
So what you can't see is we have one more garden on the other side of the school, which we've created. This, first of all, is a salsa garden and pickles, because our cafeteria person, Becky, said that's what she could handle and she needed. So Amanda said, great, it'll be a salsa garden. I, with the help of my students, my 4th and 5th graders, and Fred Wiseman of the Abnaki Association, we created an Abnaki teaching garden, which you can't see, with heritage crop seeds. And it's real. It's a scientific investigation. There's one seed that we only have, it's a squash. And it's been cross-pollinated with Blue Hubbard. And so we have to clean up the seeds and then give those seeds back to the Abnaki people. That'll be probably a 10-year job, but we'll see what happens. So they're all heritage seeds. And my hope is that these will be place-based learning environments. We're integrating the new next-gen science standards, and we have decided to do Earth Systems first at Shelburne Community School, K-8, so this is a perfect opportunity. And it gives teachers permission to take their kids outside. So I'm excited about that.
Great. And in the spring, we did get 4 different classrooms to come in the garden. The kids did all the planting, and it was a really great moment for me I had kindergartners and 1st graders out there. And I'm primarily a teacher of older students. And it was great to be out there and be able to say, all right, just you're here, you're in this one right here. And they weren't stepping on stuff. And it's an important feature, I think, of a garden, that it has some integrity, so that when you have teachers sharing garden space, they know that the space that they're using is going to look the way they left it. So that was a really nice thing. And the kids loved being able to, they came in, they immediately sat down in there, and since the gardens have been built, the kids have been sitting in there, and they all got up and walk around the edges, and it's just great. So moving forward, yeah, go ahead. One of the challenges has been getting parent volunteers and sort of teacher buy-in. So we really focused this year on infrastructure, so that the teachers had okay, so here's a classroom. Now you can see it. Yes. So now they can see that potential garden classroom, but we still need to get more buy-in. We need parent volunteers. So we've created a survey, and we got 17 responses. How have you integrated the gardens into your classes in the past? Do you have regular volunteers in your class that would be able to help students work in the garden? And do you have a big vision for garden-led initiatives? So we got really good feedback. Everyone who answered these questions gave us feedback. And this, to me, was a really important question, which was, how interested are you in the gardens? And remember, the gardens are not a place only to learn about growing plants, but also food security, plant and soil science, engineering, design, pattern, history, math and data collection. And everyone who answered gave specific feedback, like, I've taken my kids out there for painting studies every spring, or I'm connecting it to my history curriculum. So I think we've really raised awareness, and I'm hoping we can continue to support the teachers at the school. And I just want to give a shout out to Jen, our parent volunteer, who came with her family and really put in the time to help us get this job done, so thank you. And Emily, who's going to take care of our gardens this summer from CVU.
So we have time for questions.
Just Emily? You have just one person taking care of the gardens this summer?
Well, I live close by as well. So, but we won't harvest the Abnaki garden until September and October.
Yeah, and the Part 2 program has, gosh, like 100 kids in it, and they have a garden club that's there 5 days a week, so they'll be working in the gardens all summer too.
Question back.
Just sharing an idea that we put in some benches in our garden, and it really, the teachers really enjoyed that, being able to at least have the kids sit down while they explain what's going on, or sometimes they're just sitting down there writing or reading or something like that in the garden. They're just log rounds, turned sideways with a piece of wood chalk, and then screwed in. It was very simple, and I think the teachers really enjoyed that in the classroom aspect.
Thank you.
That's great, thank you.
Great, thanks,
Thanks.
Yeah, well. Good morning. I am Bruce Williams, the superintendent of schools for Two Rivers Supervisory Union. And I am just the introducer here, but our whole team is here. We have parents, teachers, two parents, one of whom is a school board member, and our liaison, Catherine, is here. And I would like to first thank the designers of this whole educational process, whoever and everybody that's involved in that. Because one of the ingenious parts of it was to have the liaison to help follow up on projects, ideas, and planning. And Catherine has been invaluable in that process. And it gives us a chance to sustain I believe it gives us a chance to sustain our efforts that might otherwise not. You'd think that something as self-evidently positive as the farm to school activities that you're going to see, you've already seen two, you'll see ours, you'll see many more this morning, would be easier to do than it seems to be. But it is really hard work. It's hard to, in the world of competing priorities of public schools, it's just really hard work. And it takes a lot of commitment and it takes a lot of organization. And so the design of this program has been the best that I've experienced in a long career of, quality professional development. So we have focused on, again, building infrastructure. We certainly have had plenty of good activities going on, but our idea is to build, we hope that our circle of friends, which is 5 or 6 or 7 right now, 5 of whom are here, will be triple that by this time next year. We have 6 different schools that we're working with, and that makes it an interesting challenge. 2 high schools and 4 elementary schools. When we came to the Institute last summer, we were largely representing 2 schools. That was purely by accident, and those schools are off and running. So our challenge is to build that infrastructure in our other 4 schools. We know there's interest. We know there are really, great people ready and willing to work on this, but it's our job to help organize those people. But now, let's just focus on some of the things we've done this year. Thanks.
So I'm from Chester, Andover. I guess our successes this year, we had our biggest day is our wellness day, which actually turns into 2 days for me of seed sowing with 30 minutes with each classroom, K to 6. And we plant the seeds that will be planted in the garden. This year, we planted our garden for salsa, pesto, and pizza sauce. So we don't have a ton of upkeep over the summer, and hopefully come back in the fall and take the stuff that we planted those days and make the sauces. Additionally, each child takes 3 seedlings. They plant 3 seeds in their bucket to take home with them and try to grow something at home so they can compare how their stuff at school is with the stuff at home. What else? We do Harvest of the Month. Our food service people do Harvest of the Month taste test every month. And we try to get parent volunteers or anybody that wants to come and help and get the kids excited to try beet burgers. We get them to come in, and I guess that's about it. We in Chester have same challenges, I would say, as everyone else. sustaining a strong base. And I guess I'll go.
I am Morgan Skiathidis. I'm a parent at Mount Holly Elementary, and this year we did a food, family, and fun night, which is kind of a spin-off of family night. Was it family fun night, which was groups would go around to different areas and do different games, and that stopped probably 2 years ago, and so we kind of kept that going with this food, family, and fun night. So we had yoga, karate, smoothie making, planting in the garden, and the healthy snack making. So it was a big success, and kind of what was exciting for me was that we, and you'll see a couple slides in a little bit, we redid the cafeteria, kind of in the name of Farm to School. So that is a picture of the cafeteria, of the after shot, and you'll have a before shot in the next few slides. So that's the healthy smoothie making. Yeah, why don't you, is it the next one? Yep, transformed cafeteria into the Blue Plate Cafe. So you can see the before and after. It was quite a drastic change. So do you want to add anything to that? Oh, yes, and the other struggle this year that has almost been overcome is that we wanted to replace the long rectangular tables with round tables to create more of a dining, friendly family atmosphere in the cafeteria. Oh, the t-shirts, right. So we have these lovely t-shirts. We grow at Mount Holly School with yep. Eat well, learn well, live well. Yep, which was kind of the motto that we created last June here. So that kind of spurred the whole thing, and we sold the t-shirts, and by the end of the night, we had, 40% of everybody running around wearing blue, which was great. And it matches the new cafeteria, so. Okay, so who's going to talk about the brochure?
So another success we had this year was improved communication, and we did that through creating a website for our supervisory union. We also created a brochure that we handed out at our school events, as Morgan will show you. And we also got an email address for our supervisory union for all those vegetable emergencies that people have. A huge success that we had was increasing our enrollment in free and reduced lunch. At the beginning of the year, Morgan and I provided free kale chips to people that would fill out the application. And we got a huge jump in our percentage. And it was true across the supervisory union. You can see there, the light green is last year and the dark green is this year. Yep. And our challenges remaining are that we had in our action plan were to support our food staff and our teachers with more professional development around Farm to School. So that's something we really want to focus on for next year. And to engage students in meaningful leadership roles. So we've already made a decision that next year we'll institute the ladder of responsibility. Kindergarten, my class, has started taking over the recycling, but that's kindergarten running the recycling at lunch. And they've also been making centerpieces for the Blue Plate Cafe. But we would like to see it throughout the whole school. We just kind of, we talked earlier about actively engaging all schools in the Two River Supervisory Union in it. And as Bruce said, everybody's really excited about it. It's just really getting the momentum like all the other schools, the challenge everybody's facing. And Catherine or Bruce, do you want to talk about the shift in our meal program?
Sure. We have been, I think it may be the biggest focus of our efforts this year has been to look at the quality of our food going out to our students. And we're taking a look at any number of strategies, but especially trying to get more fresh local food on the plates of our children. And again, Food Connects, which is an organization in southern Vermont that Catherine works for, is kind of key to that. We have a grant writer working on efforts to again, improve the access to local farms and quality of food and so on. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Catherine? I mean, I just think, you know, a lot of the information the Farm to School has put out has been compelling, and we've showed it to our school board, all 6 of our school boards, and I think it's a critical factor in trying to improve the quality of life of our children. And we're continuing to make that a real focus. Beyond that, we will be working on many other aspects, including gardens and other curriculum efforts as well. All right?
So we have about a minute and a half for questions. Questions, comments? Cheers.
Do you talk to other superintendents throughout the state of Vermont? I don't think there's a level of commitment that you seem to show.
So, yeah, be careful what you wish for. Superintendents are distracted, often not entirely organized around these issues, all those kinds of things. But yeah, I do talk to other superintendents, and there are other superintendents that are really very interested and supportive of these programs. That the trick is, that's what my initial comment is, you wouldn't think this would be so hard because it's so self-evidently positive for children. So all I can say is persevere. And, you know, if you have a superintendent on board, then the trick is to get principals engaged. And if you have principals engaged, the trick is to get the superintendent or teachers or parents or whatever. You need all of those constituencies, and one isn't the key. It's just a group effort.
You had a question back there.
Yeah, just a similar question with school board members. If, have you gotten them excited, or have you succeeded or not with that?
It's a big help if your school board member starts the whole process rolling and gets the grant that gets you to the institute. That's a big help. But we now, I think we have at least 3 other school board members who are interested in being part of this committee. 2 of them pretty well signed up, and another one from Plymouth, which is a non-operating school district, but a board member who I just happened, she said something about Farm to School, and I perked right up and said, want to be on our committee? And she said, yes, let me think about my schedule. But so I feel very fortunate that we've got a lot of support from board members. And board members care about their kids' food.
Great. So I think we're going to go on to Orchard School. So thank you to Rivers so much.
You can start us on the second slide. Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Rhonda Kettner. I'm the Director of Nutritional Services for South Burlington School District. Stop laughing at me, Mark. No. First of all, we're really glad to be back. What a year. I think a lot of you are experiencing the same thing. What a whirlwind. Left here last year around the same time with a lot of great ideas. We got back there and very quickly realized that we don't have the same schedules. But I think we had a really great year. Yeah, they don't start work at 4 a.m. like I do, and they want to meet at 4 in the afternoon, and I don't. So, but we made it work. We had some really great goals last year, and I think we did a really great job. After leaving here, the first thing that we did, remember that wonderful luncheon that we all got to make for each other, and how much fun that was? Well, we were trying to figure out how to get teacher buy-in. So we actually did that at Orchard School last year. They paid for it, and I just pulled it off. It was wonderful. We got paid as a catering event, so it was good for us. It was great for the teachers. We had nothing but positive feedback. We used all the same recipes pretty much that we had here, and everybody had a great time, so much that we ended up doing it in 2 of the other schools before the start of the year, which I wasn't prepared for. So we started off with the teacher participation. We were lucky enough to get a generous grant from Common Roots through the Latner Foundation, and we had a chef trainer who came and worked with us all year, and we hope to get him back. He actually is James McCarthy, the chef du jour right here at the inn at Shelburne Farms. So that was a huge plus for us. We expanded our classroom lessons in the farm to school to include composting, and we did a school food waste assessment, which really brought the kids to an understanding of, I'm really hungry and I'm gonna pile my plate, but how much can I really eat? And I'm feeding the trash can. So that was a huge positive. Go ahead. Mark is gonna talk about the hydration station because he was very instrumental in that.
I'm Mark Trafilio. I'm the principal at Orchard School. For those of you out of town, Orchard is just north on Route 7 before you get into Burlington, on the right-hand side behind the Goodwill. Anyway, this is a little bit of a stretch from farm to school, but we really wanted to talk about water at our school, about the waste of plastic bottles and the importance of drinking enough water in our day. And so we put this as one of our stems, and our farm to school team worked to get a grant from Chittenden Solid Waste District, who matched our donations. And so our PTO, who was fabulous, worked with us. And we had a little stretch to go to finalize this. What we're trying to do, is to put in what's called the hydration stations, which filter the water. And so this class actually wanted to do a coin war in the school. And I had never heard of it, but we put out different containers for each grade, and the kids could just bring change from home, and the grade that won the most change would win. And then if you put a dollar bill in someone else's, that would reduce from theirs. So it was an amazing success, and students were bringing in their birthday money. They found this really important, and they wanted to make a difference. So we met the goal, and we put in 2 hydration stations in our school, and we also helped to get into other South Burlington schools as well. The water is delicious, as a before and after. It's amazing. And one of the students in this class also wrote into our newsletter about the importance of what we accomplished. And a staff member from 7th generation was so compelled that they donated water bottles to us. So it was like one good thing growing from another. And so we received 450 water bottles with these filters, which even though this is filtered, we still got these, and we're getting another 100 for this fall for new students and new kindergartners to continue the message. So we're so proud of that. I wanted to mention one other step that wasn't a slide, and that was this small thing that teachers were providing snacks for kids. And sometimes, like our 5th grade would go over 4 hours without lunch, right? 8:30 to 8 to 1:15, no, 12:45. And so we just this is an easy one, but it just seemed like an organizational thing of systems. So we made sure our breakfast program had enough in it to make sure that there was a very nutritional snack available for everybody. And so we did 3 things. We fed the kids. We cut down on costs to teachers who really don't want to see their students go hungry. And 3, the students got a very nutritional snack right in the middle of their morning. And I'm going to pass the slide to who? Cooking Buddies. Here you go, Lolly.
We'll do this together, I guess. I'm Lolly Bliss. I teach 5th grade. I'm Tracy Garland. I teach kindergarten. But she's also going to teach 5th grade with me next year. Anyway, so Cooking Buddies, again, we left here with all these great plans and excellent ideas, and then things get in the way. But we did do some really fun things. My 5th grade in Tracy's kindergarten, we went to our farms. We did some field trips together. We made the little decorations for our big harvest market, harvest festival that we did. And we also did some cooking together in the classrooms. And what we found was that we didn't have a great cooking cart like we had here last year. And Rhonda can probably speak to how we're getting.
I'll talk to that.
Yeah, so that was one of the difficulties, is not having the materials for a bunch of children to be cooking together. So throughout the year, we didn't do as much as we wanted to, but we had a plan, and now it's going. And so next year, we'll do some more with that. I don't know if you want to say anything else about.
I was just going to say that we
were able to give these wonderful pumpkin people to people who came to the Harvest Festival. So they got to, then especially the parents of the kids who harvested them, made them, and then, you know, got to take the one that they made with their buddy home. That was really cool. So, 1 minute. Oh, jeez.
These are pictures from our Harvest Festival. Every classroom in the school was involved in this, from harvesting. Some of the stuff came out of the gardens in the school. We had a lot of parent participation. The PTO was wonderful. So that was a really great event that the kids enjoyed. One of the things that we had to do, and you can go to the last slide actually if you want to. One of the things that we needed to do as a cafeteria was do better menu marketing, especially in the elementary schools. So I enlisted some high school students to help us out and take pictures and use our menu boards in all 5 of our schools to show the visual, especially, you know, kindergarten, you know, at 8 o'clock in the morning, trying to tell them what pulled pork is. They really don't care. They just had Cheerios. And running that throughout the day, and instead of having just that one big menu with 30 days of words on there, we do the big menu, and then we run the slideshow. So every day they're seeing, and towards the end of the day they're seeing the next day, because the first thing that we eat with is always our eyes. If it doesn't look good, we're not touching it. And if our eyes can't put a picture in our head from the words, we had some issues going through the line where the kids would be, they would switch halfway through and say, oh, that's what that is, I really want that. And we had some shortage issues because we tend to plan. And when you miss by 70 students, that's huge. So we quickly nipped that in the butt. But we did a great job this year in the classroom supporting the taste tests in the cafeteria with Chef Jim. We've grown a lot, and we have a lot farther to go, I think, like everybody else. And every time you succeed, you get 4 more things you want to succeed at. So next year, we're, like the rest of you, probably going to work on getting it into the rest of the schools. So thank you.
Let's take a question. Before we clap, let's take a question or a comment.
Our cafeteria is in a separate building from our school, and that defeats us because they can't smell it. We have a phenomenal chef, and they can't smell it all day. Like, I'm dying to eat that. And so you're right, they order peanut butter and jelly because there's no association. That is phenomenal.
It actually helped us a lot. And our breakfast participation at Orchard, which is something that we really focused on, increased, though the numbers still aren't good. The percentage of increase is what I'm going to use because it sounds a lot better. We increased the breakfast percentage by 18%, and we hope to continue to increase that, you know, as we go on. So.
Just, can you say a little bit more about the logistics of showing that? I think you mentioned that you still had the 30-day menu, but then, like, how was it on a slot? Did the classroom teacher would show a slot?
Actually, we have the boards in the cafeteria, and in the high school and the middle school in the hallways. So when you come in, it's showing your menu on one side and then the daily choice on the left side.
So it was at the time, just before it wasn't in the morning?
No, actually, at the middle and the high school, it's in the morning. At the elementary school, it was running. Actually, Orchard, I think we had some issues with and never got out. The other schools we did.
And the website for the parents.
Yeah, and it's on the website, you know, for the parents to see as well. And we hope to add to that by adding the nutritional information next year, and as well as, you know, any of links to the recipes, you know, so that anybody that has allergies or issues, it takes the burden off us saying it's safe to eat, and puts the burden on the parents saying, yes, I want my child to eat that, because we give them that type of information.
Thank you so much.
All right, 1, 2, 3, eyes on me.
That never works in my class.
They want you to come over here. Hi, I'm Elisa Elward. I teach family and consumer science. I am from Missisquoi Valley Union, and the rest of us all teach different
My
things.
name is Richard Barwin. I'm the animal science instructor.
Jenny Plouffe, from the food service manager.
And I'm Dan Nolan, I'm a special educator.
Brian Flynn, I'm a special educator.
Rachel McIntyre, special ed coordinator.
And Bob Irish, school board.
So when we started the farm to school process, we wanted to increase our school lunches. We wanted to give our students an opportunity to learn about eating well and participating in the production of it. So we started tracking it. In October, we had 125 more students eat school lunch than they had the same day the year before. Our adult lunch menu, our purchases went up from 10 to 30. Our next step there is grab and go breakfast. Let me switch. Our farm to school initiatives go grow greens to start to have in our cafeteria, grow some more vegetables. Students taste sampling in the cafeteria, form some groups to find grants, to participate in the Junior Iron Chef, and connections to the after-school program. So from there, we participated in the Junior Iron Chef competition. Our team won Mesla Place. We were very proud of these students. They worked really hard to take this award home. It was a great experience for them and for us. Along with this, we had 2 student tastings. My cooking classes made salsa. We have a blue and white day at MVU, which is about a health and wellness and drug prevention day. And so we provided salsa for the school. Students got a free sample with that. Then we also provided the asparagus risotto that the Junior Iron Chef team made when we had a MVU Burger Day. We worked with our middle school, and they invited their parents and grandparents in to have lunch with our MVU burgers, and Richard will speak a little bit more about that. And for one of the sides, we provided the risotto from the Junior Iron Chef Award. To incorporate our farm to school process in the school, we also had a faculty meeting where we handed out 3 different salsa menus, and faculties had a little competition similar to what you did here last summer. And they made the 3 different types of salsa and went around and taste. And we heard nothing but raves about what they got out of it, the teamwork, the freshness of the food, and everything like that. We hope to do it again, but actually grow what we're going to be using in the salsa for next year. So Richard's going to speak about the MVU hamburger.
Okay, so we have an animal science program at the school, and we've always raised animals to some degree, but we never had a marketing plan, so we came up with a marketing plan. Instead of just selling the animals whole at the end of the year, we decided that we would get a meat license, a wholesale meat license from the state, which we did, and we have them slaughtered, and we sold the meat, the ground beef, to our hot lunch program. Very well received by the students. We have it's used in hamburgers and in any meat dish that we have. This year we sold 1,000 pounds. We're on track next year to sell 2,000 pounds. We do raise pigs. We sell those individually, custom cut is what we call it. We did have a pig roast on campus. That was one of our goals for this year, and we did have a pig roast. Unfortunately, only the 11th graders got to participate because it got stepped on by the kneecaps. Another reason not to like the kneecaps. The kids are responsible for soup to nuts with the animals. They get them into the barn, they give them their vaccinations, they deworm them, they tag them. They're responsible all the way from their arrival until they ship out to the slaughterhouse. They do visit the slaughterhouse to watch the process, so they understand the significance of what they're doing. And we also take a bunch of field trips to different agricultural educational institutions. The Morgan Horse Farm, we go to the Minor Institute, we go to Vermont Technical College. And they get to do interesting things like reach into a fistulated cow's rumen and pull out some ingesta and smell it and look at it, and it's very fun and interesting. The kids will do anything these days. So one of the big things that we've done is we've worked with the USDA IDA, the Individual Development Account, Youth Individual Development Account, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to franchise young students to take what they know about the business and the science of raising animals on campus and to move it into a local community. A lot of kids have access to some pasture land, they have access to barns. Right now we have 2 kids enrolled in the USDA IDA, Individual Development Account program. One is raising beef, the other is going to try and raise chickens for eggs, and we have 2 others that didn't want to make the commitment, but are doing the same thing in a parallel effort. What we're trying to teach is the cycle. We just inherited or gained access to 20 acres real close to the school. That's going to become, this year it's going to become hay, next year it's going to become a grazing area, and what we're trying to show the kids is the whole cycle of energy and product, hay to beef, to manure, manure back to compost, compost back onto the field, so they can see the cycle of nutrient, the cycle of energy, and the cycle of material. The biggest thing that we have is trying to integrate the lessons that we are teaching kids into, or draw them, crosswalk them into next-gen science standards, Common Core state standards, transferable skills, and for the tech program, the state-approved competencies, which we're bound to. Last thing I'd like to show you, if you could just close that slideshow, and there's a search engine open to, yeah, right there, the custom T-shirts on the other side. So we had T-shirts made right here as kind of a marketing ploy and to kind of get the kids bought in. So it says Thunderbird Beef Co-op, student-operated, local, sustainable, responsible, and of course eat less chicken. And what we're really hoping for is to catch the attention of Chick-fil-A, that they sue us, and we get all that free public relations and press. But these will be for sale next year at this place, so bring your money, bring a check. Okay, go back to the slideshow.
You guys have about a minute left.
Okay, I think, is that the last slide?
Yeah, so what's next? So for next year, what we'd like to do is keep making more local connections to provide local food, make sure that we're getting all the beef that Richard's not making, selling it off campus. We want to keep it there because you can taste the difference. And it's not just about the taste. Standing in line, the young men talking about these are the cows that we raised, the pride that they got in telling their buddies that this is what I do. So want to keep that, make sure that we have starter food going for the cafeteria, keep trying to work with the cafeteria for sampling, and to form a group to pursue grants because we're finding that our money's pretty thin.
So questions, comments for these guys?
Is it true that you have to have an on-site person that's like living, have farm animals at the school? Is there, because I thought that that's one of the things I came away with last year was that someone needs to be there.
We don't have to have somebody living on campus, but there has to be somebody that's responsible for them all the time. And we do have somebody that we can call them a barn manager that comes in on the weekends, holidays, any day that I'm not there, they come in and take care of the animals. So, and that is the most complicating factor of having animals on campus. And it's one of the reasons why we're looking to partner with a local farm who's there all the time, who does this all the time, and just to kind of, instead of spend our resource to replicate what already exists off campus, to partner with that exemplar farmer off campus.
Richard, you and I talked a little bit about bids for selling your cow in the cafeteria.
Mm-hmm.
Have you, and I think your cafeteria person.
Jenny?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So you guys are, I hear, working within the USDA bid requirements, and that's been an okay process?
We've talked about it. We haven't. I mean, I haven't put in a bid yet.
Have you been working with anyone?
What, yeah.
Perhaps. Yes, Jenny and I have been working on a bid for local beef,
And I'm using our child nutrition program and the USDA farm school regional person, Danielle, to make sure that it's correct. So I'm at the next phase, I have to make some changes, goes back to Jenny, she approves it, and then we make sure it's good to go. And then she will give it to Richard and to other farmers. Great, so any other school that wants to maybe use this process could contact you?
Well, one of the things that we don't want to do is become a competitor to our, to a local beef producer. And what we're finding in our discussions is that we only sell ground beef, and that's not really where the market is for this boutique meat that the local producers, they sell fine cuts for a lot of money. And so we don't think we're putting any pressure on them competitively. And it's very important for us not to do that because we operate, with their support. It's very important that we don't harm them in any way.
Let's give them a big round of applause.
All right, so we are Putney Central School. We have Helen, our Food Connects coordinator, Carrie Harlow, our cook, Karen, one of the 5th grade teachers, and Alice, who is the chair of the school board. And I'm a parent, and I do some work with the kids in the classrooms and in the garden. And I'm going to have to refer to notes because I was the latest one here today, so I got volunteered to talk. And don't let your kids buy your glasses for you, by the way. So overall, I guess what I'd like to say is that for our whole thing, this was like it still is, the storm before the calm. It's kind of reverse. Everything is so chaotic, there's so much going on that it doesn't feel like we're ever going to get there. But we're slowly seeing pieces fall together. I think what I'm going to do, what might make the most sense is to start first with some of the cafeteria kind of initiatives or whatever that we've been working on. And the first one being breakfast. And there's lots of ways of doing breakfast. You try to get kids to have breakfast in the morning, et cetera. However, we found that a lot of them miss it and it interferes with classes. So we've switched it around so that the kids eat breakfast actually after school has started. So at what time?
8:15.
So about 8:15, the breakfasts are brought right to their classrooms on carts. And this way, we've increased it now to over 100? Over
172 kids.
172 kids, over 100 kids are eating breakfast.
And last year, about 20.
About 20, okay. So it's made a huge improvement. Now there's a lot of logistics to work out, considering working with K through 8th grade and dealing with the teachers and their schedules and stuff like that. And a lot of people were resistant at first, but over time, as you start getting into the swing of things, things work out pretty well. And I believe that's where we're at now, right? Things are working out well. And we have some minor adjustments for the following year. And let's see. One other thing and I actually explained this a bit more for me, the professional development of kitchen staff, trying to figure out how to kind of coordinate all this stuff, and this is dealing with waste, is that correct? Mm-hmm. One of the big things is dealing with the amount of waste that we end up having. Because of these breakfasts, some kids order them, they don't always eat everything, and a lot of stuff gets thrown out. So there's a lot of, we have a lot more work to do, put it that way, to kind of figure out how to ameliorate some of these problems. And hoping to get some of the kids involved in it too, especially as and this is where some of Act 148 might fall into this, especially getting the kids to help out with a lot of the coordination of recycling, composting, and things like that. But we can make it an educational process, which is what we hope to do. Let's see, and if there's anything I'm forgetting in here, just chime in. Let's see, where are we at right now? This kind of ties some of it together, and this goes along with some of the things that some of the other folks have said, but we've really demonstrated that when the kids start the seeds, grow them, and harvest them, they'll eat them, okay? Take the famous Brussels sprout, Who likes Brussels sprouts? Usually, yes, of course. But you ask kids, nah, they don't want them. These are a bunch of 5th grade kids who went through the whole process. They harvested them. Before, all it takes is one 5th grader to go, hey, can I eat one of these right now? And I say, sure. And pretty soon they're all eating them raw. And then they'll go into the cafeteria. Out of all the classes, 98% of the 5th graders ate all the Brussels sprouts. None of the other kids did because they didn't participate in the process. So it's this realization, which I think we've always had, but it was actually demonstrated here, that when you really get the kids fully participating in the entire process, it was the same with the potatoes that we harvested and everything like that. And they get to take them right to Carrie into the cafeteria, and she can make them up, and they see them right on their plate, okay? It's a kind of a no-brainer, so to speak, because they're totally invested in the process. And let me see. Why don't we go to the next slide. This is, some of you also talked about, getting some of the challenges around getting the garden beds together and everything, and we had the same thing. We ended up moving a bunch of garden beds out of the garden. They previously had been in the garden, and you can see them up front. Each class gets a bed, K through 5, and we have a little square-foot garden maker, so each kid knows exactly where they're planting. They can plant whatever they want. It's all on them, okay? That way they feel real, what's the word I'm looking? Yeah, thank you. True ownership of what they do. And also on that, we explain sometimes, don't plant things too close together, particularly for the younger kids. They don't really get it. But as soon as their stuff comes up and they see, 6,000 carrots coming up in the little square foot, they start to get it. But you let them do it. You let them do those things, and then they get it. And then they figure out, what to do next. They'll think about it more next year. In the background, we have what we call our production area, and that's where it's a little bit more middle school that's involved in some of that, or in the upper grades, I should say. Because it's a little more challenging in some senses, but that's where we put our longer-term things in, like, at this point, just potatoes and our storage crops, and then also the very early spring things like peas. And we've kind of delayed, and I wish I could say it's totally on purpose, but it's not, but we've kind of delayed some of our planting so that there's a lot more to harvest in the fall, rather than having everything ready in the first part of August and ready to go. This way we're trying to get the kids involved into more. They've been planting trays of seedlings right before the end of school that will go in to the ground with some summer camp kids. We're having 2 summer camps this summer to help kind of keep things going on in the garden, so that it doesn't fall all on 1 or 2 people or 1 or 2 families. Jump in.
You guys have a little less than 2 minutes.
Oh, okay. Gee, it's like it's fast.
We could go for hours.
Yeah. We could. I mean, there's so much involved. What are some main points that you'd like to hit?
One of the main things we've been talking about for years, and now we're trying to actually realize for this coming fall, is universal meals. And so, in fact, right here, while I was listening, I was having to send emails to Lori about getting us up and going for universal meals, because we think we're probably at 55, 60 directly certified, but really right now we might be only 39 to 41. So we're really working. It's not that that's the way we look. What our reality is different from what we look like. So that's been a challenge. That's actually something that takes a lot of time. My time as a school board member, but Carrie's time and the office manager. So that's one of the things we really want to realize, because to fully realize our program, and we know we have like a 5-year process here, if not longer, but we really feel like the kids all need to be offered free, healthy, local food. So that's one of the things.
Right, and I was going to say, and that kind of goes along a bit with exploring, we're exploring the possibility of going independent. And a lot of that is some of it being driven by the community and community, caring about its own community and where the food comes. But additionally, some of it being driven by the students. And this was one that kind of hit us from left field. And just to give you one example, and particularly it works well after the meat folks who are up here, what do you do with 7th and 8th graders, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders in our middle school who have been studying these units, whether it's migrant worker stuff or whatever, and all of a sudden they say, is our meat humanely raised? Are our chickens pastured? And they go, well, I'm not going to eat it if I don't know for sure that they are. So now what do? I mean, most of the food coming in, you can't guarantee where it comes from. So do you stomp on what their ideals that they're creating and learning in their classes, or do you follow the children and figure out how can we solve this problem? And so that's part of the reason we're exploring how can we become independent, where we can use a local beef farmer, for example, who lives 2 miles down the road, the kids can see it. They could raise whatever beef they need to, and you have the cost issues, but a farmer might be willing to sell it to you on the hoof. You get it to the butcher yourself and take care of it. You can cut your middleman prices down. So there's all these things to figure out, but the more you educate your kids and the more you help them become critical thinkers, the more a challenge it makes for yourself, which is a good thing. It really is. So
we have about a minute for questions from the audience. Questions or comments?
I have a question. How did you deal with the lack of having a breakfast in the classroom? How did you deal with, I'm assuming you had some teacher negative feedback, or?
Oh, no.
No, it was all positive.
It was perfect. Most of it was very positive. Most of it was very positive. There were a few that were a little hesitant.
Can you step up to the mic?
Sorry. There were a few that were a little hesitant, but after we started the program and it got rolling and rolling smoothly, I have the carts ready every day by around 8 o'clock. Some of the teachers have retrieving the cart as a job for their students, and they come and get the cart. Some of them who don't choose to do that, I deliver it, and most of them will eat their breakfast during morning meeting, or they switched their story time, the younger grades, around so that they read to them first thing in the morning and have their breakfast then. So it really worked out. I was very lucky. The staff was great.
Well, I think one other thing that they did, that Putney did really well this year, was they worked hard to get engagement and buy-in from all the staff and offered lots of opportunities for feedback. They did a formal survey probably a month or 2 months after they started Breakfast After the Bell, and that's when teachers really were able to write down some of their comments and some of the logistical challenges, and then they were addressed. So just remembering to offer that opportunity for feedback was really successful for them.
Let's give them a big round of applause.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Max Van Houten. I teach vocational agriculture at Lake Region Union High School. I guess I'd like to start by thanking Shelburne Farms for having us. Last time I was here was early May for the FFA State Convention. I remember seeing Richard here over at the Animal Barns. And I really appreciate what they do to offer this possibility for us and others to come and make connections with the earth. I'd also like to thank Catherine Sims from Green Mountain Farm to School, who couldn't be here today, but has done an incredible amount of work up in the Northeast Kingdom. And Lori Carr, who is also my partner in crime, who is now in Arizona. Okay, so there's 1,000 things I wanted to share from the year, and it's really hard to condense all of them into 6 slides in 10 minutes. And as a teacher, I know very well the virtues of expounding on just about anything. But striving to be a good teacher, I am trying my best to encourage questions at the end, and I'm going to try to just limit it and go with the old adage that pictures are 1,000 words. So the biggest challenge and accomplishment for this year was instating a composting system at the high school. I worked with Highfields Center for Composting. in writing a grant to design and construct a compost drum that's about a 5-foot diameter, 8-foot long, looks like a big whiskey barrel, that's made of cedar. It was designed with the help of James McSweeney, who is now out of Cambridge, Mass., and it was built by Richard Hudak. So I don't know if any of you know him. He's been very involved with composting north of Burlington. So, compost. Challenges. The first thing is buy-in, getting students to want to compost. I mean, I remember being in high school, I had friends that would just look at me and take something that, like a plastic bottle, and they just throw it in the trash. You know, just because they knew I'd say, hey, put that, and then I'd go take it out of the trash and put it in recycling. So that happens. You know, there's a lot of that going on. So also another challenge associated with that is we probably only composted about half of what we could have. There's a lot of students that just, for one reason or another, just want to throw it in the trash because, I don't know, it's beyond me. Chore timing and logistics, that's a big one. You know, I'm lucky to have a program where I can have students kind of go and attend these chores, but what exactly needs to happen when, how can we get the buckets, the bins sanitized after bringing them to the compost and getting them ready for the next day and that kind of thing. There's a lot of logistical pieces there. And anyone who wants to set up composting at your school, I highly encourage it. It's an incredible way. The successes will far outweigh the challenges. But it's a beast. So unless you have someone who likes the art of taming beasts or is skilled in that art, you probably shouldn't go for it. Feedstock procurement is another big one. You know, where are we going to get the sawdust? Where are we going to use leaves? Where are we going to get the, you know, the hay and whatever else we need to add to the system? The year-round function, as you can see, also the compost shed. We're building a shed late November. It's kind of catching up with us that I'm a teacher and not a full-time builder. So we struggled a little with that. Also, the smell was hard for some people. Okay, so sensory management there, which is a great learning tool, which I'll adjust in the success slides. Student accountability. I put that up, and then I realized, well, yeah, I mean, come on, high school teacher, what do I expect? There's always going to be extra work at the end of the day because somebody's going to skip their duty or tell you they did something they didn't. And then the biggest challenge I find, and this is kind of in my profession, is learning opportunities versus work. At some point, the authentic practicing of a skill becomes just work. Okay, go turn the compost. Okay, I know you've done it 50 times. You're going to do it 51 times. Now I'm kind of a jerk and not a teacher, right? So that's a challenge. Okay, next slide. So successes, or as I just came up with, I'm always a dollar short and a day late, but if I were thinking ahead of time, it would have been a compost mince. Oh, I've got the worst jokes too. So over 2,300 pounds of food, so over a ton of food scraps we diverted from the waste stream, which is great. It's wonderful. The challenge of having them work became community service for the high schoolers. Them actually doing the paperwork for that still hasn't happened, but the opportunity is there for them to do if they so want to. Okay, next slide. Another success is the compost from the first semester was actually completed. We're taking it out of the other end of the digester here, and it is ready to go. It wasn't ready quite to mix into garden soil or vegetables, but it was definitely ready to put into the orchard, so that was great. Then the authentic, So the authentic data collection. You know, the kids are practicing, they're being scientists. They're collecting real data. They're assessing the needs. They smell the compost. And I wish you could see some of this data. You can see my finger there. in here, James and I had to adjust the thing. It wasn't working quite well, and it wasn't turning based on the design, because the way he designed it was not how it was built. So we had to install a big cedar 2x6 to get it to turn everything. And before then, it was smelling bad. It was wet, stinky. I mean, it was disgusting. It's quite frankly disgusting. It's anaerobic. I mean, and that's how you know a compost is going bad, is you can smell it. You know, some people are very touchy about it, but it was really, like, anybody wouldn't tell you this doesn't smell good for compost. But then we adjusted it that Friday. He came up after school, and we climbed in there and put this thing in, which is disgusting. And the next week, we saw our temperatures rise from 90 degrees to 135. We saw the smell gone by October 1st. I think that was like September the 25th or something when we did that. So it's real, I mean, it's real time. They're seeing the composting process. They're making the recipe themselves. They're troubleshooting. So it's really wonderful. Next slide, please. So students get to see the composting start to finish. We actually did get to finish our compost shed this year. Yes. So getting them to see something from start to finish is really important, kind of nutrient cycling that Richard mentioned earlier, that I think is just essential for anyone in the world to be understanding today. The experience of troubleshooting the compost, like I said, building soil, which I feel nobody, you know, really a lot of the people in our world should know a lot more about building soil. So this is great for them to see and understand. They get to understand the microbiology behind what happens in the compost cycle and nutrient recycling. Finally, you know, the student leadership is a big one. This puts the ownership in their hands, and they have pride in understanding how we're taking care of the orchard, how compost fits in, where the recycling of food scraps comes from. So, yeah, that's it.
How did you decide on using a drum versus other systems?
Well, it's all enclosed, and that's a big concern, is keeping things out. I think that was probably the main factor. It's an enclosed system. The other thing is I worked closely with James McSweeney, who is designing a system like this for schools that he wanted to trial. So I thought, that sounds like a really cool idea, let's give it a shot. And we wrote a grant, got the money to do it, and went with that.
Thanks, Matt.
I'm happy to talk with anybody more about composting at the lunch break if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. So my name is Beth Roy. I'm with Upper Valley Farm to School. I was the coach for the Newton School, which is in Stratford, Vermont, and they all send their deepest apologies that they're not able to be here. It was a series of unfortunate events, definitely, and they are very much on board. So if I can't answer your questions, because I was not in the school every day, I can certainly connect you with the people that can do that. So Newton School, and this is just kind of a picture of one of their gardens here, and their kindergartners starting off and understanding seeds there. So we'll go first. So I think a huge success for Newton was really working on the community C for them this year. So through that, and this isn't quite in chronological order, but we actually did this, the in-service teacher lunch, just like we did at the training last year. We did that with during the in-service day in August with the teachers, and to get some real, school-wide community buy-in there, and they were psyched. It was delicious, and it was just yummy and happy for all, and it was a great way to kick off the season, the farm to school year with them. Then we moved into the fall, and we did work on, we actually put in a new pocket park in town, and a pocket park is just what it sounds. It's just a tiny park. And so their focus was actually not to plant just regular old any trees in there, but to make it like a mini orchard. So they actually ended up planting apples, plums, and pears. And this was mostly implemented through the higher elementary grades there. And so in the future, they're hoping to do more other smaller bushes around the edges of the park, like blueberries and things as well. And then they moved on to their fall stone soup and hike for hunger. And this was a really neat event. They've done this for several years in that they go to a local farm, they dig potatoes, and those potatoes are then donated to a local food shelf. Some of the potatoes, along with a lot of their harvest from the garden, is made into soups. And then literally the teachers and lots of volunteers hike up soup to a mountain and a local peak. It's like a 20-minute walk, but then the entire school, as well as any community members, does that same walk, goes up to the top, and the idea is just this is a stone soup. It's just kind of a very simple soup, and everyone shares the lunch at the summit. And so it's just to kind of raise awareness on hunger and using their gardens for that as well. There. And so also used for their garden was their colonial Thanksgiving meal. And this, they actually tried to have families make authentic kind of colonial food. So there was no beef. There was actually moose and venison served and things of that nature. So it was pretty cool. They unfortunately weren't growing animals, so they had to have all that donated from local families. So again, this was really just a community event that was really great. Most of the veggies, though, were supplied through their school garden as well. And then they kind of finished the calendar year with a Christmas fundraiser at the local kind of Christmas bazaar. They had a table there. They gave away some local popcorn along with little information sheets about their farm to school program, and also sold some really beautiful note cards that the kids designed, all with watercolored veggies on them and things, and notepads and stuff too. They actually ended up raising over $500 just from that little event, and raised some great just community awareness there for their program. Great. So these are just some pictures of Pocket Park in action. Very serious. And there's stone soup. And what's really fun with this is it's K-8, and all of these kids are going up there and just hanging out, having a bowl of soup, and it always helps when it's a beautiful day. And then, so taste test. Some of the challenges that we've had and goals that Newton had for the year was they wanted to really work on monthly taste tests, and it just didn't happen. I think they ended up pulling off three throughout the school year. There's a school of 120, so it's not a huge school, but they just thought it was a real challenge to coordinate between instructional time, eating time, and who's in charge of what. They did pull off a great taste test with cheddar and apple quesadillas, and it was a huge hit. So that's them preparing that, and I believe that's a farm-to-school recipe. The other thing that was a challenge for them is they really wanted to implement a waste reduction strategy for the whole school, and it got overwhelming. It started with trying to do a waste audit, and it became really daunting, and no one was kind of willing to kind of take the head of that. But they're really, it's on the docket for next year, and so now it's kind of lessons learned, and they're ready to kind of dive in and work on that for next year as well. And they're excited to keep growing. They're doing great. So that was Newton's accomplishments. Questions that I hopefully can answer.
So questions for Beth?
Great. I'll get you to your lunch sooner.
Thanks, Beth.
Okay, so this is part of our Bristol Elementary School Farm to School team. We came to the Institute last year, but we have lots of new members, which is really exciting. And some of them couldn't come today, and some of them aren't coming up front with us, but that's okay. Can you hear me?
You guys are right in because they're getting into
all right.
too.
Okay, so what we did was we looked at our action plan from last year, where we had an action around a goal around cafeteria, classroom, garden and community. And so one of our goals was to integrate farm food and nutrition into more learning environments. We first were able to get a beautiful custom-made cooking cart that was donated by a parent of a second grader, and in that first picture you can see it there. So that comes to our classrooms, and people can cook right in the classrooms. There's a lot of taste testing that happened in classrooms, and sometimes kids would cook things, and there would be taste testing in the cafeteria.
And this was a funny little story. My classroom in the middle, I couldn't believe it, in June for their celebration, Beach Day, they wanted watermelon, raspberries, strawberries, and blueberries instead of ice cream. So that was pretty fun.
I think that was a huge success, having more taste testing happening in the classrooms. And I guess sometimes your success is also your challenge, because I do feel like, we're a school of 275, is that right? I think 280. And so, I feel like I'd love to see the percentage of the taste testing increase. It sounds like we've heard that from a lot of other schools too. It's definitely a common challenge to get everybody on board, but it was fun to see what did happen this year.
So we have actually, can you go back to that one for me, thanks? We have actually had a school garden for a long time, thanks to our garden queen here, Andrea. And one of our goals was to use the school garden as a resource to support classroom, cafeteria, and community farm to school goals. So we use that. Andrea, do you want to talk about the school garden a little bit and how that works?
So there's, I feel like that's super loud. There's 8 raised bed gardens that we got grants for. And the kids in different classrooms do all the planting. And then over the summer, that's a little bit of the tricky part. It becomes a little bit of me show. But our summer program kids take care of the garden for 1 or 2 weeks. And then I ask for parent volunteers to come in and weed and water and kind of take whatever's there they can pick. And then we definitely have things left in the fall. Kindergartners always get to dig 1 bed of potatoes, and this year we're doing pumpkins so the other kindergarten classes can do the pumpkins, and it's been a good experience. I feel like we'd like to do a little bit more with starting the seeds. We usually go to a local farm, and student council sponsors the purchase of those plants. So the gardens have been great.
And that's been going on, how long have those gardens been there?
8 years.
Yeah, a long time. So anyways, one of the big things that we did this year was we did a landscape design contest, and that was sparked by an email that I got from Megan, which probably many of you got also, from Vermont Edible Landscape, saying, do you want some edible landscaping from your school? And we said, yeah, that would be cool, but how about a grand plan instead of just sticking something in the ground? So one of our parents who joined our farm to school team said, well, let's sponsor a contest where kids and family and whoever can submit plans. You can go to the next slide. And so we did that, and as a part of that, this other parent who's also a community grower and on our team sponsored an after-school workshop, 21st Century Learning, whatever they call it. They change the name of it every year. But so we did that for like 4 weeks where kids who were interested could come and work on their plans with us. So we got about 25 plans and 45 different individuals from individual kids, classrooms, family plans, and we selected 7 that we're going to work with Megan on to create a master plan for our schoolyard. So that's kind of a big that was a huge accomplishment, and we're really excited about that. And so the master plan is next, and then the fundraising and all the pieces that go with that. So I think one of the important things about this was that the sort of main criteria for any entries was that the plan include edible landscaping as well as an outdoor learning space of any kind.
Accessible for all.
Universally accessible, yeah. So, so the other goal that we had was to develop strong, sustainable, and reciprocal community partnerships, and that definitely happened for us in a couple ways that were really evident. So Vermont Edible Landscapes, Megan Giro, is working with us, is on our team, as well as Jill Koppel from New Leaf Organics, and she has a farm stand in Bristol and is also a parent. So they are integral members of our team, And already there's some other people who are hearing about the work that we're doing and starting to step forward and offer different suggestions, materials, benches, you name it. So those community partnerships are growing, and that's really exciting too. I think that's it.
So questions, 2 minutes for questions.
Where did you get the idea for the landscape design competition?
That was from Jill Koppel, who we were just sitting around the table at one of our monthly meetings, and we were just talking about, wouldn't it be great to, use these great ideas from Megan and Jiro with the edible landscape, but where should we put it? What should that look like? And then Jill just said, well, let's have a student contest and put it out there and see what students think. And we were like, that's a great idea, have it be student ideas. And so we kicked off this assembly. We did this, kind of skit and music, and, we were saying, join the landscape design contest, turn our playground into an edible landscape, So a lot of kids did jump on board, and this 21C workshop was really helpful too, because that kind of organized kids who needed to have some help and have some resources to get some ideas. And so it was about, 5 weeks as the contest went on for. And when we chose 7 winners, we got some donations from, Sandy. Her family owns a gardening business, and so we got some things there. And then our local hardware store donated some things that we made baskets. And so each of the 7 winners got a little landscape designer startup basket that they got as a prize. And then everybody got a packet of seeds to take with them. So yeah, it was great. Now it's just finding the money to implement everything, but it'll work.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
So while Hillary's figuring out the video, I'm Carol Kent from Richmond Elementary School. I'm the food service manager. And with me we have David Horner, who's our food service director for the district. Hillary is our paid farm to school coordinator. And Amy Beckwith is actually the school nurse at Jericho Elementary School, and she's with us because one of our goals for the year was to try and start making more connections with our other schools in the district. And Amy and I, our programs have been starting to blend and weave some things together. Are we all set?
Yeah.
Okay, you want to jump in there?
All right, sure. So something that we've been especially successful at doing over the past several years is fundraising. And this is just pretty much a list of all of the fundraising events we hold throughout the year. And this year we were able to raise over $8,000. A big chunk of that is the dinner at the farm benefit, and our school partnered with Jericho Settlers Farm, which is just right up the road, and held, I don't know if you want to describe the dinner. I didn't get to go, but Carol was there. She'll tell you a little bit about it.
We're really blessed to have some incredible chefs as parents of kids in our school, and Doug Payne is the executive chef for Hotel Vermont, and he was very gracious, and Hotel Vermont was very gracious to partner with us, putting on a farm dinner at Jericho Settlers Farm. Very well attended, and that was a major fundraiser for us to cover the cost of having a farm to school coordinator. And they're excited to continue that with us. We had a lot of volunteer sweat and labor into it. It wasn't, just an easy thing, but it was a really, really great fundraiser.
And the other fundraiser that provided a lot of cash to the program was our Harvest Festival, and this year was our 5th annual Harvest Festival, and it's grown over the years. It started out at the elementary school, and now we are able to use the Monitor Barn right in Richmond, and they save a day in the fall for us to use the barn free of charge, which is really wonderful. But we have a deep relationship with the farm too at VYCC. So a lot of times we'll get produce from them at a reduced cost or for free, and they're strong supporters of the program. So we're lucky to have that relationship and connection. And then other little things here and there, spaghetti dinner.
where we provide a farm-to-school dinner for folks coming for the open house. That's a big success. And a new fundraiser we did this year were fall harvest bundles, and then we did spring harvest bundles as well, and we partnered with Jericho Settlers Farm, and they basically put together a one-time CSA, like bundle of vegetables, and we sold them for $50, and I guess they charged us maybe $28 a bundle, so it was a pretty nice profit we were able to make. And not only did it include the school community, but community members were coming to the school to pick up their bundles, so they were learning a lot about our program and supporting our program, whether or not they had kids in the school, which was great. You can go to the next slide. So you're probably wondering what we spend all that money on. So I'll let Carol talk a little bit about our local food purchases.
Because of the generosity of our farm partners and our volunteers and all the people who work so hard to raise the money for our program, all of the local food that we purchase at our school is from the fundraising. It's supported from the fundraising. It does not come out of our food service budget. We have had grass-fed ground beef all year. We've had local produce in our walk-in refrigerator and on our salad bar the entire school year. We've been purchasing local eggs right along from 2 farms. The Misty Knoll chicken, local dairy, local apples all year round. Cider, we serve cider as a fruit, make cider slushies as the fruit of the day quite often, and the kids go crazy over that. We did a smoothie program this year. We started last year. We got a smoothie grant, and so the amount of local yogurt we've been using has just gone through the roof. We went from 65 breakfasts to 165 breakfasts every Thursday, serving smoothies and a whole grain product. So that's been a great boon to our local dairy consumption. What else? Yeah, so it's been, our salad bar is amazing and contains local produce constantly, and we had kids begging for kale chips. We have kids, whatever, I've forgotten the name of the little cauliflower, the Romanesco, yeah, just escaped me. They went crazy over Romanesco and pickled beets and pickled kale stems and so on and so forth.
Great. So it seems like a common challenge is buy-in from classroom teachers, so we decided we would give them money. And so we said every classroom gets $100 towards a field trip that connects farm to school. So a week after that announcement, we had applications coming in. So every class, with the exception of 3rd grade, took advantage of that. Our kindergartners, through the Farmer Correspondence Program, went to Far Farm. We made ice cream when they got back as a connection. Farm to School bought 4 ice cream makers, hand crank, which were really great. 1st grade just got back, a couple weeks ago, planted at Jericho Settlers Farm, and then they'll go back as 2nd graders in the fall and harvest there. And this past year, the 2nd grade went and harvested sweet potatoes, and then sweet potatoes were featured on the menu, I think it was October or November, I can't remember. But we had a month long of sweet potatoes were, used throughout the month. Let's see, so 2nd grade went to Jericho Settlers, and then 4th grade had a couple of trips. They went to Slopeside Syrup in Richmond for the governor's annual tree tapping, and then to the Audubon Center to culminate their studies of maple sugaring. So I think you can go right to the next, yeah, perfect. Yeah, and another challenge was how do we increase communication? So we started our blog this year, and it's been really successful. We'd like to see a few more followers, but it's a great start. So on it, we feature all of our monthly taste tests and all sorts of other things that are going on farm to school, the smoothie day, you know, when kids, if we have a taste test that the kids are especially excited about, they'll be asking for the recipes. So we'll say, go to the farm to school blog, it's right on there, this is how you get to it. So kids will be coming up, actually, someone went up to Carol and was like, you told me you were gonna post that black bean brownie recipe or the black bean cookies. So they remember and they want the recipes. So we made sure to put that on there, and so that's been really successful. Yeah, we keep going. Yeah, next one. And our taste tests, we've had taste tests for the past several years, and I'm pretty proud to say that we've had them every month consistently. We are part of the Harvest of the Month program through Green Mountain Farm to School, and some months we deviated from the Harvest of the Month. We had one taste test that included Midnight Farm goat cheese, and that was and Grafton Village cheddar, and it was really cool because at the end of the taste test, maybe a week later, a little boy was like, "Where exactly did that goat cheese come from?" He's like, "I went to the store and we just bought any old goat cheese, but where was that goat cheese from?" Yeah, and the farmer sent pictures of the baby goats, and those were posted on the blog, and it was a really nice connection. And then our final taste test was deviled eggs from Maple Wind Farm, which, you know, it was really interesting. We had a lot of brave kids tasting those deviled eggs. I told them the trick is a little bit of white and a little bit of yellow. And one other challenge that we had was our garden, where our campus is the elementary school and the middle school, and the community garden is on the middle school campus, so it's hard to get there. So one thing we did this year was to bring the gardens to the kindergartners, and we planted 5 census gardens that were in little milk crates, did some milk crate gardening, so that was a success. So I think we're gonna wrap it up. And just another way to connect was connecting with the after-school program. So we did farm to after-school and enrichment program that got the kids in the kitchen cooking, when that seems to be one of the bigger challenges, is getting the cooking cart into classrooms. So we did it after school, which was great. So I think we are out of time. If you want to just play that, we have some pictures, but it's a slideshow. So if you have questions, you can ask them now.
So you guys have a couple minutes for questions? A couple questions?
How do we get to the blog?
How do you get to the blog?
Oh, I'll give you the website. It's Fresh Ideas at res@blogspot.com. Yeah.
Let's see, Bubble and Squeak. Are you making sauerkraut out of cabbage?
Bubble and Squeak is a traditional English dish made with potatoes and cabbage. And so it wasn't a fermented sauerkraut, but it was just the Bubble and Squeak dish, which they loved. Anybody else? Yes?
So as you're thinking about working with other schools,
Mhm.
is the idea that the farm school coordinator position will also support those other schools, so that each school will have their own coordinator?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Our district is going through some major transitions with this merger that's happening. There are a lot of challenges, and there are a lot of opportunities. And I think one of the biggest opportunities that we all see is to expand farm to school and build on what we've been able to do at Richmond, Brewster Pierce School with Allison Forrest. Many of you know Allison. They've got a really strong program. Jericho Elementary is going full strength. They had an implementation grant. Amy, you can come on up here. You don't have to talk. But Amy's school has been doing great things, and we are excited to be sharing information, and we're hoping that this is just going to keep growing. And one of the things we are talking about is, as a district, is funding a position, a farm to school coordinator position that will cover immediately maybe 3 schools, and then perhaps grow bigger than that. Do you have anything? Sure.
As you all know, it's hard when you have other roles. I'm the school nurse. So we have managed to do a lot, and we have about 10 people on the committee, staff members, parents, our principal, we're lucky, and our food service coordinator. But everyone has another main role, so everyone's trying to do a little bit, and the coordinator position, as you all know, would be really helpful.
Yes.
I was just wondering, with the fundraising, did you have to establish a nonprofit to keep the money separate for the school food fund?
Our financial people at central office set up a separate line for farm to school. So it is held at central office, and we have to submit requisitions and so on to have invoices paid from farm to school. So it's a whole bunch of code numbers for various things. It's not an easy system, but it's what we have to do. Anybody else? Great, thank you.
So how about just one more big round of applause for everyone here and just all the great work.